Big thanks to trendmicro for sponsoring this video. If your computer's running slowly or you need to free up some precious disk space, I definitely recommend Cleaner One Pro. And we have this menu bar item here that very easily lets you visualize everything that's happening. We have memory usage, junk files, CPU usage, network usage. And if we open up the system optimizer right here, you can see here that we can do various tasks like a smart scan. We can check for junk files, big files, a disk map, we have startup manager, etc. But I love this big files option. If we click here, in real time, we can see the big files on my Mac, which I edit video a lot, so I have a lot of leftover video files on my computer. This is taking up 7 gigabytes. This one's taking up another 7 gigabytes. This one's taking up 5 gigabytes. Easily remove unnecessary files in seconds. Discover what's taking up space on your Mac, and you get recommendations for what to do next. It's very easy to use, and you can download it using the link in the description for yourself if you like to do so. Big shout out to Cleaner One Pro and trendmicro for sponsoring this video. More than a decade has passed since Samsung first launched this guy, the Galaxy S, back in June of 2010, a smartphone line that would definitively change the focus of Samsung for years to come. Now fast forward more than a decade later, and we're kind of at the pinnacle of smartphone technology, the peak of where we can get to, at least at this point. But back in 2010, this was the best that Samsung could do. And sure, it's small, plastic, flimsy, the display is really dinky, like all around. It's really not much to write home about. But it gave birth to a smartphone that eventually led us to this, the Galaxy S22. Samsung's original Galaxy S is certainly nothing to brag about. I mean, the specs in here barely scrape the surface of what's inside of the Galaxy S22. But this was a game-changing smartphone, so it's gotta be decent, right? Well, I think our level of patience has drastically decreased since 2010. This thing is slow, it's buggy. I mean, hell, the battery life can't even last for a day in today's world. But just for fun, let's take one area of this smartphone and compare it to the Galaxy S22, the camera. Obviously, there's no need to ask you which of these photos looks better. In 2010, with just 5 megapixels and 720p video, the Galaxy S definitely doesn't hold its own today, but it did feature a mind-blowing, well, at the time, panoramic shot mode that, let's just say, leaves a lot to be desired compared to what we can do today.
Oh, and in case you were curious how the video quality is, I'm in broad daylight right now. Remember seeing videos like this? You remember that time? Yeah, we've come a long way.
But Samsung has since been through 11 other successors since its original Galaxy S, leaving the S22 being the 12th iteration of this smartphone line. Obviously, when it comes to design between these two, I mean, we have a decade's worth of R&D to thank for that, but they couldn't be more far apart from each other. With the Galaxy S, we have a cheap, slimy plastic feeling versus the S22. We have a nice glass back, we have metal sides. I mean, everything here is just way more premium than its original little brother right here, older brother, I guess I should say, on the other side. And we even have fingerprint sensors under the display. Like, that's pretty crazy versus, well, what is this? This is not a fingerprint sensor. Remember these guys? This is a home button. When you wanted to turn on your screen or go back to the home screen, you'd have to press this little button right here. It's a physical button. I know, that's crazy. Obviously, we had headphone jacks, and let's not even forget to mention the display sizes between these two. I mean, we have 6.1 inches here on the Galaxy S22 versus 4 inches on the S series. You could literally display a life-size Galaxy S within the boundaries of the S22's display, and that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's certainly impressive how far we've come with display technology since 2010. Heck, this measly 4-inch display, the Super AMOLED display, was considered amazing at the time. Look at how far we've come with the S22 6.1-inch display. Over the years, Samsung has kept its reputation for making some of the best smartphone displays on the market. And a funny side note, the original Galaxy Note from 2011 packed a display that's actually smaller than the one on the Galaxy S22. The Galaxy S22 has nearly every feature we could possibly ask for on an Android smartphone and really only falls short to the marginally better S22 Ultra. I mean, heck, this thing had a 0.3 megapixel camera on it, which is nothing compared to the 4K video that we're shooting on the S22 today. At the end of the day, we have to really admit to ourselves that these cameras are pretty great, and this has 50 megapixels, which is literally 10 times more megapixels than we had on the original Galaxy S. Obviously, we expect the Galaxy S22 to take some amazing photos. There's no question as to whether or not it does, and in the age of social media, I think we can definitely be all too picky about those photos we take, especially when you know that you're just gonna throw it on Instagram or Facebook and have it compressed to all hell and remove all of those amazing characteristics that you desired in the first place, but I digress. Editor Dom here. I wanted to do a quick experiment on social media. So I posted this photo and I asked everybody on Twitter and Instagram, which smartphone do you think took this photo? And I got everything from Nexus 5 to the Note 7 to the Find X5 Pro, even the OnePlus 10, Galaxy S21, and even the Galaxy S22. And you know which smartphone took that photo? This guy right here, the over 10 years old Galaxy S. So it just goes to show you that, I mean, once you put it on social media, does anybody really care? Are you really noticing the megapixels there? I don't know, you tell me. As for performance, I mean, what do you expect? This is more of a small computer than it is a phone. Hell, seldom do we even use these things as phones. Most of the time we're using them as a gateway to other information out there so we can consume that. But trust me when I say that there's not gonna be any performance issues with the Galaxy S22. At least I haven't had any in my experience. I mean, the specifications in here, heck, the processor alone makes some computers from just a handful of years ago seem slow. When it comes to battery life, this thing will certainly last a day. I mean, it has a 3,700 milliamp hour battery in it, which I suppose is pretty average by today's standards, but that combined with its pretty epic standby time will be more than enough for most people. And that is the case with most of the features on this smartphone. It's more than enough. If you need more than what the S22 offers, Samsung will sell you a more expensive smartphone with the S22 Ultra. But honestly, we're also worried and caught up with having the most recent and best release of something on the market that we often forget to appreciate what we have or what we had. Like really, if you have any of the Galaxy S smartphones over the last few years, I'm pretty sure you're probably still all right. That pinnacle of smartphone technology that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, yeah, we've been there for a minute now. All those extra bells and whistles on these new smartphones like the Galaxy S22 or the S22 Ultra are simply just that, bells and whistles. And with the pricing of today's smartphones, I mean, this is $849, which isn't easy to come by for most people. But also when you compare that to this guy, the S series, the original S smartphone, this was $400 when it came out. That makes this seem like a bargain, right? At the end of the day, you're most likely gonna buy what you want to buy, and most likely you sought out this review to justify that purchase to yourself. I mean, as a fan of something, we often watch reviews like this to just prove ourselves right, that you bought the right thing with your hard-earned money and you want to feel special about that. That being said, I think Samsung has evolved greatly over the years. I mean, the S series now is probably one of, if not the best Android smartphone that you can get your hands on. And that hasn't changed for quite some time. I mean, they changed the game with this and they've continued to be the top dog with this. But honestly, the peak of this smartphone mountain that we've been at for a while, with that in mind, you've probably wasted money on the S22 and are most likely better off getting an S20 or an S21 for far less money. And I mean, the only difference between these smartphones and this shiny bucket of Samsung right here is how inadequate you might feel because you have a model that's a year or two older.